Hello and welcome to Did You Know Gaming Extra. In this episode, we're going to be looking at some trivia from titles released on Nintendo's Game Boy Advance. Nintendo's grip on the portable gaming world has always been strong. It's perhaps one of their most revered ventures by fans and critics. After the Game Boy and Game Boy Color came the Game Boy Advance, a portable with very little competition in the West, with specs comparable to that of the Super Nintendo. The best-selling trio of games on the system were Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire and Emerald versions, which saw several revisions and were even remade on the 3DS. Games are usually tweaked and reprinted shortly after they're released, as a large audience of players encounter bugs that the comparatively small development team never found. These revised builds usually have a number that indicates their version, such as version 1.1, 1.2, etc. Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire's version 1.1 release had several changes, but not all of these changes fixed bugs. Humorously, the English localizers happened to misspell the names of multiple Pokemon in the original release, which were fixed in 1.1. The item description for the Togepi doll misspelt its name as Topgepi, and Mawile's Pokedex entry in Ruby spelt his name as Mahwile.
You're saying it weird. Why are you putting so much emphasis on the H?
Speaking of differences, Pokemon Emerald version had several pieces of exclusive content, including the elusive Mirage Tower. This tower, or at the very least its English name, may be a reference to a tower with the same name from Final Fantasy. Both Mirage Towers appear in a desert and only appear under certain circumstances. They both also contain a spiral-shaped dungeon within them. Some other GBA games were considered hits even though they didn't sell nearly as much as Pokemon. The best-selling game on the system that didn't have Pokemon in its name was Mario Kart Super Circuit, which had a rather extensive amount of unused content. The game has all 4 of Super Mario Kart's battle stages within its data, completely unused. Since tracks from Super Mario Kart can be unlocked for regular kart races, it's speculated that these battle tracks were planned to be unlockable at some point during development. The game also has several unused items, some of which have some functionality when hacked back into the game. There's an unused fake item box which places a banana behind the cart. There's also a gold mushroom which has the same functionality as in later Mario Kart games, and an infinite mushroom which never runs out of boosts. There are triple bananas as well, but these have no programming attached to them. A Bob-omb icon also exists in the game's data, but it's unclear whether these would have been items like in Mario Kart Double Dash, or if they'd represent the player as a Bob-omb in battle mode like in Mario Kart 64. Hidden content can be found in other GBA games as well, such as in the data of F1 2002. Looking through the data, a number of standard JPEG format images can be unearthed in both the NTSC and PAL releases of the title. These files are mostly made up of photographs, though one of them shows a CG dinosaur. It's possible that these were included by the game's developers to use up excess storage space on the cartridge. In the Japanese version of Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, Boomerang Bros can drop an item called Oho Gear once they're defeated. This item raises the player's defense by 28 points and can be equipped by either Mario or Luigi. For unknown reasons, it was removed from all international ports of the game. The item can still be found in the game's data in the English game, however, and can be used through hacking or cheat devices. The item is fully functional in all versions, and its description was translated into multiple languages. This seems to indicate that the Oho Gear was originally meant to be in the game's international releases, but was disabled late in its development. The reason for this remains unknown. Developers sometimes want to incorporate their history into a game, as can be seen with Maya the Bee: The Great Adventure. Normally, booting the game will run through the developer's credits, such as the Shinen logo. By holding both of the system's shoulder buttons during this sequence, the Shinen logo will actually change to Abyss instead, and the game's credits will instead use the developer's pseudonyms. This is because the company Shinen is actually made up of members from the demo group Abyss, a prominent team from the demo scene during the days of the Amiga. Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories saw the series' first venture onto Nintendo hardware, but it initially had a different name. Tetsuya Nomura stated in the Kingdom Hearts Ultimania book for the title that the game was originally called Kingdom Hearts Lost Memories. This seems fitting for a game about Sora trying to recover his memories of the past events from the first entry in the series. It would have also been fitting to have Deep Jungle, the Tarzan-themed world from the first game, make a reappearance, though it does not. The reason for Deep Jungle's omission from the title was due to copyright. Both Square Enix and Disney were unable to get the rights to use the franchise's concept and characters from the estate of Edgar Rice Burroughs. Another game which struggled from copyright issues was its Mr. Pants. Many will be unaware of Mr. Pants' history, being a joke mascot created by Rare staff member Lee Loveday with MS Paint. He was fleshed out after becoming popular with fans of the company, before he finally made his video game debut on the Game Boy Advance in 2004. However, this game wasn't always intended to be a Mr. Pants game, and was initially a Donkey Kong title called Coconut Crackers, featuring Donkey Kong characters, locations, and items. Before landing on Coconut Crackers, they even considered calling the game Splodge, Nutcracker, Animal Crackers, and Sunflower. During development, the game could have been played in both 2D and 3D, a feature removed due to issues with the consistency across both views. Eventually, the Donkey Kong license was dropped due to Microsoft's acquisition of Rare in 2002, before THQ picked up the title and replaced Donkey Kong with Mr. Pants and his family. To keep the game's graphics true to its childish art style origins, the game's artists would create graphics using their less dominant hand. Its Mr. Pants was also planned for release, alongside other Microsoft titles, for the Gizmondo handheld, though it was later cancelled due to the Gizmondo being a commercial failure. Speaking of undergarments, Dragon Ball Advanced Adventure has a couple of interesting localization differences between the European and American releases. When Shenron offers Pilaf any wish, Oolong will barge in and ask for some girls' panties. However, the American version has Oolong demanding, "Give me the world's most comfortable underwear." The underwear was also altered to look more masculine in the American game. The American version has a spelling mistake as well. In the level Land of Corinne, after catching him 10 times over, Corinne will say that Goku's power has increased several times over. Mega Man Battle Network took the Mega Man series to the Game Boy Advance with its own new spin-off series of RPG titles, and makes reference to Pokemon. In Yai's house, a yellow rug can be found in her living room, similar in appearance to a skinned Pikachu from Pokemon. Also in the game, outside the Dentown movie theatre, is a movie poster for Upgrade Impossible 3, featuring Rom Cruise, a clear parody of the movie Mission Impossible 3 and its lead actor Tom Cruise. Another popular RPG on the Game Boy Advance was Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. In the game's introduction, the player encounters 3 schoolyard bullies, Guinness, Colin, and Lyle. After the battle, the player is warped to the magical world of Ivalice. Morbidly, much later in the game, a mission will become available which involves saving a professor from 3 zombies, each with the same names as these children. Harvest Moon, More Friends of Mineral Town, has a bizarre Easter egg based around fan speculation. If the player goes to sleep at 9 PM on the 30th day of winter, there is a chance they will be shown a dream sequence featuring both the female playable character and the mayor of the town, Mayor Thomas. The two will appear to be getting married, only for the player to wake up confused. So confused in fact that she will even forget how the word dream is spelled, an obvious mistake by the developers. And now it's time for this episode's random piece of trivia. In this episode, we'll be looking at Gex, released in 1994. Justin KNORR worked on the title as lead designer, but during development, a lot of content that Justin wanted to include ended up being cut. After returning to work on the game after a weekend off work, he found that somebody had modified one of the levels he had designed without his permission. Greg Tavares recalled what happened next. This editing of his level was the final straw, and so we went into his office and did a big no-no. A few days later, his edits were discovered by playtest. They had programmed the ability to include messages in the game, as well as a level select screen with over 80 levels to choose from, despite the fact there were only 28 in the game. In one of Justin's levels he designed for the Kung Fu world, he wrote a message providing the cheat code for this level select, telling the player to check out a certain level. This level was his original design for the same Kung Fu stage, but with some elements that were removed in the final release. Greg Tavares paraphrased what was written on his blog. "Didn't you think this level had some cool shit in it? This level was cut because the company didn't put you, the customer, first, but just wanted to make money. Call Madeline Canepa at 415-555-1212 and give her a piece of your mind and my mind too." It included the real phone number for Madeline Canepa, head of product development on the title. Playtesters found the message, and after it came to light, Justin KNORR was fired immediately for not just personally upsetting members of the team, but also threatening Crystal Dynamics' relationship with Panasonic, the game's publisher. And if you want some more trivia about some more recent Nintendo games, why not check out our video on Nintendo Switch game trivia. And of course, thank you to all of our wonderful patrons. You guys are so good. You are so cool. My mouth so dry. I'm gonna be a professional rapper, because that's what it all sounds like to me these days. Big L, rest in peace.